what you think, Fred. All right.
Fred.
Like, dude, you're an idiot.
I'm doing very well, Jen. Is it just going to be me and you, or Eli and Zach going to pop in?
Yeah, they'll talk every once in a while. But
Every now and then we'll kind of
he was already right away.
It's kind of what we're used to you attacking us, so.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Look at
Let's just put it this way. Who do you see as the quarterback week 1 for the Green Bay Packers?
I see.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Open Book here on Game On Wisconsin. As you can see, we are missing one of our trio here tonight, and Zach, maybe he'll show up at some point. He's just a bit busy, which happens in life, but I'm very happy to be joined by Jen, as usual.
Be honest, Eli, we all know why Zach's not here. He got verified, and he's too good for us now.
Yeah.
So
Zach immediately, the second the blue check mark hit, he just left the chat. He left Open Book. He's like, I can't even spend time around you peasants, in the words of Jen. And it's really been eye-opening to see the immediate turn as a person that he's taken. And
from blue dog to blue check, it's been quite the journey with him.
Yeah, like if anything, he needs to get like the red check, like the red dog, and act accordingly, because that's not going to work for me. As Lambo says here, he's got his forklift certification. He's got his Twitter certification. He's ready to go.
Well, you also are got that blue check mark, so.
Well, I only did that just so when I discuss Aaron Rodgers, people can't argue with me, because now it's factual. There's just no arguing. It's automatic fact.
Because
like if
I'm verified, therefore what I say is obviously true.
Yeah, of course. Like when I say that Aaron Rodgers is not only the best quarterback ever, but he's currently the front runner for MVP because he's been so far and away the best quarterback in the league. How could you argue with me? It's so obvious that I'm right. So,
right, of course, which is why I am not verified, because everything I say is trash. Don't believe anything I say. Therefore, I did not get that verification, because I need you guys to trust that I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think most people do trust that, but yeah, if you put up the blue check, it's gonna be really confusing. Speaking of Jen, I don't think you were on Twitter a ton today, but for anyone who was, so this blue check mark basically took over the whole Twitter. And there were so many security accounts.
It's a good day to not go on, I think. Because I logged on, I was like, why is everyone have a check mark? It was so confused.
The whole thing that Musk said, he's like, we want to give the blue check mark to make it more legit. And now literally every fake page has a blue check mark. And they're posting things like someone posted, it went viral, that Josh McDaniels got fired. And it said Adam Schefter. It had a blue check mark.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, McDaniels got fired. Like I sent it to my brother. I'm like, this just happened. It's real. And he's like, you're a dumbass. It's not real.
Like, you're not going to be able to believe anything, because everybody's going to pretend to be like a credible source.
Exactly. So like when the Packers, and we'll talk more about Jonathan Abram, the Packers claiming him off waivers from the Raiders, 2019 first round pick. I know people have mixed opinions about him, but it's something. But basically when that got announced, Tom Pelissero tweeted it. And I saw a blue check mark.
Real Tom Pelissero?
Exactly. I'm like, oh, it's just for sure fake. I had to go click on his account to see that he had like 1 million followers. And I was like, all right, it's real. But it's going to be confusing for sure. So that should be fun. But speaking of fun, let's just jump into Sunday's game versus the Lions real quick.
I don't want to do it.
We'll try to get through it the best we can. And yeah, I mean, look, obviously all of us going into the game, we said it last week on the show, we were expecting a win. And I think most fans, I mean, the expectations at this point are kind of dead, but I think we were all hoping for a win in some way. So Jen, I guess just coming out of the game, where does it leave you mentally with this team right now?
Yeah, I mean, I picked the Packers to lose to the Lions, but I picked us to lose to the Lions the last week where we had already had our division clinch, and we kind of just had the backups in. So I mean, I knew we'd lose to them, but I just not this way, not 5 weeks in a row losses. I mean, it's the Lions, and that can mean two things, where it's the Lions and they're gonna give you like a crapshoot, you never know, and they're gonna they can kind of cause chaos on a season even when they're a low-end team. But it's also the Lions who just, they're good at losing games. Yeah. So it's just kind of frustrating once again. I mean, injuries obviously play a huge role in that. When you lose, 9-10 guys to injuries, that's really tough. But it just, things weren't clicking the way that they needed to against a team that is not good. And that's extra frustrating when we kind of felt pretty good about the way that they were coming together against the Bills, who are, arguably the best team in the league right now. And then we put up that show in Detroit. It's just like, at this point, I can't make any sense of what's happening. It's just, more of the same of the last 5 weeks where basically, they're not good. And I'm getting like wellness check texts and like from coworkers and friends, and I go into work.
I'm hearing from people that I've not spoken to in years, and it's like, dude, are you alive right now? And I'm like, why? Why would you text me now? Like, the number one, I'm not going to want to talk to you. You never talk to me. Like, I'm talking about people that I have not spoken to legitimately in years, and it's like, why do you show up on these days? This is what you do. This is why, like, being in Minnesota or being in Chicago or anywhere, if let's say you're a Packer fan in Detroit or whatever, it's different. It's kind of difficult and annoying.
When you live in like division rivalry territory, it's just, it's more concerning, like the health and well-being of people like us.
Everyone in our cities basically just know us for one thing, and it's being Packer fans. So literally everyone in Chicago is just like, you have no personality outside of being a Packer fan.
Right.
So they lose, you're probably going to, I'm not going to say it, but you can imagine, do bad things.
But so, I like every week, I just like, I keep coming in with like, here's what they did wrong, here's what they need to fix. And then it's continuing to do what they're doing wrong and not fixing anything. And it's like this perfect storm of like, we're just really good at playing bad. And it's frustrating when it feels like, obviously you should have been running the ball, but then you lose Aaron Jones and now you can't run the ball. And Rodgers is just having like historically bad day, which is really hard to see considering like we know who Aaron Rodgers has been. And it's just like this season has just been frustrating because the expectations are so high for him that when he's not meeting those standards, and then everything all around him is also just like pure chaos. Like he can no longer like be the source of wins, where it's like he used to be able to carry teams and that's just not the case anymore. So when he also is part of the problem, that makes it even harder. And you have the offensive line playing like roulette, where it's like Bakhtiari plays one quarter and then he's off for two and then he comes back and it's like still dealing with that injury. And then it just didn't feel like when they were handing the ball off to like AJ Dillon, it just didn't seem like the blocking was there, or he's just not getting the yards that you want, or just like frustration all over the board. Obviously losing Dobbs hurts, and it's nice to see Watson back, but then it's just like more chaos. And I mean, it's just, there's so much that needs to be fixed that it's like, it's overstimulating.
Yeah, no, you can't even, it's overwhelming. You can't think of everything at once.
Yeah, it's like, it's
too much.
It's easier to, like, it saves ink to write down what they're doing right than to write down what they're doing wrong.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it is way easier to find the good things than the bad things because there's just too many. But a few things just before I might go on a bit of a rant of frustration about this game. But first off, I mean, we'll get to the Cowboy game in a minute. But Adam, I could be wrong. I feel like I haven't seen you in the comments before, so welcome. We'll get to the Cowboy game. I'm sure everyone will have their opinions about it.
My overly optimistic ass is probably gonna be like, "Yeah, we can do it. We can do it. I believe in us. Can't lose 6 in a row."
Not a chance. It's impossible. But yeah, talking just real quick about this Lions game. I mean, obviously, like you said, I mean, it just seemed like everything was going wrong. I feel like, honestly, once, maybe it was just me being negative, but in just the way this team has played, the second that ball got picked off on the first drive, I just turned to my brother. I'm like, they're not going to overcome it. It's just one of those days where like, it shouldn't be where on the first drive of the game, you have a bad play where it shuts a team down. But the way this season has gone, one bad play just derails them. And that was it from the start. I mean, honestly, I'm sure it's even before then, but I feel like this isn't to single out Marcel, but it's just basically starting in the San Francisco game in the playoffs last year. Like, he fumbled that ball early in the game when the Packers were up 7-0. They never recovered, barely scored the rest of the game, obviously lost. And then since then, it's kind of just been a theme where one bad play, you saw week 1, the first play of the whole season, Christian Watson drops it, the team doesn't show up for the next 58 minutes or whatever the hell it was. It was just ridiculous. So that was frustrating to see, but
I do Jude in the comments talking about Sammy Watkins. Sammy Watkins was probably one of the most frustrating guys to watch on Sunday, simply because he's a veteran. He's had time to study because he's been hurt, so he should have these routes retained. And it was two of the same thing. And it's like, should Rodgers notice that and not throw it there potentially? Or, it's kind of both, where it's like Watkins needs to be running his routes, but Rodgers should also notice, like, hey, my guy's not in the right spot, and this isn't a guy that I've had that connection with, like Cobb and Lazard, who you can trust is going to be there. But it's like, is it better to just throw it and hope that he's going to get there, or hold on to it and risk getting sacked? Or
I feel like at least with some of those throws near the end zone, it's kind of one of those, you snap the ball and you kind of have one read because you wait too long, the route's already over.
And when you're so close, there's not a whole lot that can happen when you're working with 5 yards of field.
Exactly. So he's going to basically get the snap and turn and look to throw essentially immediately. And Watkins ran some just routes that were clearly LaFleur said it. It was, communication thing. Clearly it was miscommunication. I mean, obviously that goes without saying. But it was very frustrating. And I agree. I mean, it's one thing if you see Watson or Doubs doing that, or Toure. Watkins, you've been in the league now for 8 years. There's no excuse for that. And real quick, to everyone out in Florida, stay safe during this storm. Mark, enjoy that booze. I'm sure you're going to have a great night.
Everyone stay safe.
Yeah, be careful out there. And I need to address something, and I know it will probably come off as bias coming from me because it's to Aaron Rodgers, not his defense. Because look, I can be as what should I say, objective as anyone. And
before you get into the rant,
you
can love Aaron Rodgers and also understand that he is playing horribly.
Yeah,
but at this point, it feels like people aren't like. It's gotten so hostile. Like, I feel like I can't even be like, oh, I love Aaron Rodgers without people attack me. Like, I'm fully aware Rodgers is playing crap. I'm not naive to the fact that he's playing like garbage, but I still love Aaron Rodgers because that's still the quarterback of my team. And I'm just, this is coming from the person who was the only person who defended Kevin King. You think I'm just gonna not love Aaron Rodgers anymore when I put my life on the line to defend Kevin King?
You should be more loyal to Kevin King than Aaron Rodgers. But no, but honestly, there's Packer fans that seem truly upset with any other Packer fan that isn't actively trying to destroy Rodgers in every way that they possibly can.
And it's like, I love Jordan Love too.
Yeah,
I can love Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love.
It has nothing to do with not wanting to see.
You play for my team. I love and support you. That's just how I am. I'm loyal to, except for certain circumstances, which I don't think I need to mention.
Exactly, some rare circumstances, but I mean, bottom line, seeing all the people that, whether it was this week or last week or even the last few weeks, going on Twitter and saying, Rodgers is trash, bench him, he should have retired, you should have cut him, you should have traded him before the season. All of those people are the same people that the minute he signed that extension this offseason were jumping up and down, jumping for joy, extremely excited. And now, oh, wow, how great to look back, hindsight, and try to say as if this was something, oh, I was saying it all offseason, he should have retired. My ass, okay? The second you saw that news that he signed an extension, everyone was excited about it. So let's not play a game with that. But also he's been the quarterback for this team now for 15 years. He's been on the team for 18 years. He has obviously won a Super Bowl, led us to the playoffs, 12 of 15 years, 13 of 15 years, whatever it's been. I mean, to go, again, if you want to say he's not playing his best, obviously, I'm not going to argue with you that he's playing his best. He's not playing his best football. There's no doubt about it. But to go and destroy him and rip him and talk about him as if he's just some random guy that is complete nothing to the team and hasn't done what he's done. And his whole career he gave to the Packers when, in a lot of people's opinion, the team did not necessarily give him as many pieces and weapons, not even just on offense, but overall on the team, as they probably could have throughout the years. And he's stuck around and he's always been there. And it's just like, I just don't understand how you can so quickly turn on someone in the span of a month and a half, turn on someone who's been essentially the reason this team has been relevant at all for the last 17 years. I mean, without Aaron Rodgers, the Packers essentially have had a bottom 5 to 10 defense every year for a decade. They've had one of the worst special teams every year for a decade. They didn't always have great running games on offense. They had offensive line issues, receiver issues, things going in and out, coaching issues. And Aaron Rodgers, for year after year after year after year, covered it up for your team. And now to turn around after a month of playing off and just saying, this guy's garbage, I don't want him on the team, bench him. It's disrespectful and it's sad. It makes Packer fans look like complete assholes. And I'm sorry to say it like that, but I'm seeing, and it's true, like we were talking a minute ago about, you're in Minnesota, I'm in Chicago, and these other fans talking to us, but people aren't even spending that much time ripping the Packers or Rodgers to me. It's more saying, are you seeing what Packer fans are doing on Packers Twitter? Like, it's embarrassing. It's honestly, it's like you guys have had the pleasure and the luckiness to watch this guy dominate the NFL for 15 plus years. And for the first time in most of our lifetimes, most of the people probably watching this show and on Packers Twitter of our adult lives, this is the first time it's like, oh shit, what's happening right now? Like literally, even in 2016 when they lost 4 straight, Rodgers, he turned it around. He turned it around and had the best 6 to 8 game stretch of quarterback play we've essentially ever seen. So it's just really fun. Like, this wouldn't even be, maybe whatever. Look, again, everyone knows that I am quite a Rodgers fan and I can't deny that. But just as a general Packer fan, it's just, it honestly, it makes me feel embarrassed because people really are like, what is wrong? Like, I cannot, like, I have friends saying, I can't believe how many Packer fans are calling to get Rodgers out of the game. And it's just like, it's embarrassing. And I just think it's wrong. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, Jen. I don't know what you feel about it, but exactly. I mean, like June said here, not everyone. I'm not trying to rip Packer fans because look, all of us want to win. We all have expectations of being good, but it's hard to win week after week, year after year in the NFL, and to just turn your back on someone who's made you competitive and relevant for 17 years is just a really bad look for me, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because it's like, obviously, like, people have their opinions, and it's like, you don't want to tell people how to be a fan, but it's like, that's kind of like how I feel, where it's like, I feel like I can't root for Aaron Rodgers because I feel like there's just like this hostility, which is kind of why I've kind of just like gotten off Twitter for a little bit here because everything is just super hostile and it's everything. Like, I mean, I can't remember what game it was, but AJ Dillon like fumbled the ball and people were immediately writing him off. And, you know, before Randall Cobb even took a snap when he came back to the Packers, it was, why are we signing him? He's only signing because he's best friends with Aaron Rodgers. Like, he's old, he's washed. And it's like, there's just, people get so opinionated and it's really hard when, like, I don't deal with negativity very well. So I think that's kind of one of the reasons I just don't feel the need to be on Twitter because it's just such a negative place. And it's like Owens 17-0, everything in between, whatever. Like, I love this team. And every Sunday, I'm not going to have the bag over my head. I'm going to be rooting for my team, green and gold pride, all that crap that's like nauseating. And so I think it just gets hard for me to see people like constantly ripping on the players that I love, who I've loved. You know, obviously I'm a big Jordy Nelson fan, but Aaron Rodgers is a huge part of Jordy Nelson's career. So it's like I loved watching them all those years. So I think it just gets really hard for me to see so much negativity. And, you know, me loving Aaron Rodgers has nothing to do with, you know, not supporting Jordan Love. Like, Jordan Love, I will say it until, like, I don't even know at what point in his career, but like, he got thrown into a horrible situation that he didn't get to choose, and he's done nothing wrong to anybody except be drafted by the Packers and then sit the bench. You know, he didn't choose the route that he's on. And I also feel like if you were to put him in, it's kind of like you're also if you were to bench Aaron Rodgers and put Jordan Love in, this team is so depleted right now. No Rashawn Gary, like, circulating offensive line. Aaron Jones in the boot, like, he should be able to play, but now he's kind of banged up, and there's just, it would be really, really tough to put him in that situation because you think about maybe Aaron Rodgers, maybe physically he's not playing his best football, but he still has really good football IQ. Yeah. And you hope that would be enough to be able to kind of get things going where I get it. Like Jordan Love he hasn't had a chance. He hasn't been given the opportunities to kind of build his portfolio in the NFL. And it's really unfortunate.
Yeah.
But I don't know if putting him in
right now
the answer to having a successful season.
I just feel like it would be.
I almost feel like it's like it could be like scapegoat to be like, oh, well, we put Jordan Love in and now we're losing, and then all of a sudden people are going to turn on Jordan Love, who
that's what I was about to
thrown
say.
into a horrible situation. It's just maybe I just have a lot of empathy for people, not saying like other people don't, but like I just kind of like think about the people, and I think that's why I find it so hard to like read such negativity about people, because I think about just, you know, them as people as well as athletes, and I don't know what they're seeing. Maybe they've deleted their social media apps as well, but I don't know. The negativity just burns me out, and it makes it like adding negativity onto what is already a really unfortunate season thus far makes it even worse. Like the losses, I am the most competitive person you will ever meet. Everything is a competition in my world. And if I can handle the losses, like I promise you guys, it's going to be okay. But the losses are less infuriating to me than the way that people go off on social media. And at least like I don't even want to be on social media and watching the games. Like I kind of just want to go back to old school where I'm just sitting there with my dad and he's the only person that I'm interacting with. And I'm not worried about anything that anybody else is saying. I don't know. It feels kind of like, not like a wake-up call for me, but just kind of like I need to appreciate football more for what it is than like everything else that circulates around it. Like just appreciate the weeks that we get out of this season to watch football with our families and enjoy our Sundays and rep our teams, and not just turn everything into such like a negative pool, because that's when it stops being fun for me. And that's when I step away, because I can still have fun watching football with my family, even if the Packers are losing. But if I log onto Twitter and I see all the nonsense that's happening, that's when football stops being fun for me. What's been happening now that we're losing. And if that's what losing is going to look like, if the Packers all of a sudden turn into a losing team, I do not want any part of this little world.
Yeah, that would be terrible. Packers Twitter. I mean,
kind of just like an aggressive rant. I'm sorry, but
we both went on some rants, which were needed. I think we're about more than halfway through the season. We need a little rant.
Passionate fans.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's a tough spot to be in, and honestly, it's kind of funny when Vikings fans check in on me and they're like, "Don't worry, we know." Like, it's almost like they understand what we're going through, and I have not had to really live this.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to handle. I'm like, you're kind of actually being a better person than I am when you guys like. I'm so mean when they're losing, and then we're losing, and they're kind of like making sure that I'm like mentally okay. And I'm like, are you a better person than me? Maybe, maybe not. But
that I have similar interactions where for me it's just like, the Bears, you suck. And then when we lose, it's like, are you okay? Do you need some assistance potentially? Yeah. But just to think that, I mean, look, let's be real. This isn't the first time we've seen Packers Twitter unbelievably negative. And this is as a winning team for the last 15 years. So if that were to change, it would be a scary sight. But let's not go down that negative pathways. We're not going to be a losing team anytime soon, obviously.
Last night, so Chris talking about beating me in fantasy, I almost had 2 perfect weeks, except for Chris. I won all 5 last week. I won 4 out of 5 this week. Chris, just very unfortunate, but to go 4 out of 5, I'll still take that. Yeah, it was a hard-earned win. I think he actually beat me by like 20, so not really. But
I'm excited to say that I've extended Tom Crabtree's losing streak to a bunch. I don't know what it is, but a lot, and I won for the first time in like 2 months. Well, no, that's like the whole season, more like a month. But
Tom really can't wait to play me again. I'm the only person that like he's a guaranteed win.
Yeah, Tom's only wins of the season the entire year is against Jen, which is great.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
So yeah, it's definitely a lot of fun in the Open Book Fantasy League, which it's going to be a tight race down to the playoffs. Should be interesting. We'll keep you all updated as we go on that. But let's real quick, Jen, talk about a little bit of news in Packers Nation today, which is, like I mentioned earlier, claiming Jonathan Abram former first-round pick from the Raiders. Safety onto the team. And for me, look, Abrams first going to have to earn playing time, most likely through special teams. But assuming that happens and he can work his way onto the defense, especially considering Eric Stokes is injured and there's some other injuries they're dealing with, I feel like he could, I don't think he's necessarily going to be some kind of life-changing player addition, but it should give Barry more freedom and ability to get a little more creative, not crazy more creative, because it's let's not get ahead of ourselves, but I think he can move
creativity on the defense. Are you kidding me?
I know. But I think it should allow them to use Darnell Savage in different ways that should suit his skills a little bit better.
Honestly, I don't care. As long as there is somebody within 10 yards of the receiver, the bar is so low right now. The bar is so low.
Yards, I think.
I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
It was almost
funny. A guy off the street who can run with the receivers. At this point, I just do not care. Somebody who's gonna be on them. I don't know if it's the zone or if it's But
that was an unfortunate.
Whoever they want to sign that might fix that problem at this point, it's kind of anyone's job.
Right now, everything right now is kind of anyone's job, except for quarterback. That's one person's job. So again, former first-round pick. It's not. Look, the Raiders released him for a reason, but I do think he's. It's one of those players that I do think a scheme change and just a refresher kind of could make a big impact for him. So for anyone who missed that, so Packers claim Jonathan Abram. At the very least, it's something. I feel like the Packers don't ever really claim someone off waivers. So
I do like how it's like complete silence during the trade deadline, and then they just pick someone up off waivers like a week later, just like, hey, we still got someone. Don't worry.
Yeah, we're good. Don't worry. We didn't have to make any moves. We planned this the whole time. We knew the Raiders were going to cut him. Hopefully it could let Barry just experiment, do something on the defense. But let's real quick, Jen. We got to obviously talk about Mike McCarthy's return to Green Bay, Cowboys, Packers, America's Game of the Week, 3:15 Central Lambeau time, of course. So just what are your thoughts first off about McCarthy coming back, and then just the game in general?
Yeah, I mean, McCarthy, when he was, relieved of his job, it was definitely time, but that doesn't take away from all the respect that I had for him, for everything that he had done for this organization. You can tell just from his presser how much it means to him. Like, his family was grew up there, and like his kids and stuff, and that was important, and just the community. And just because he was no longer on the Packers roster, it's just that doesn't take away from everything he did and all the accomplishments and who he is as a person. And this was a game during the offseason that I was hoping to go to. Now, I didn't buy tickets, and now it's kind of like, maybe it's a good thing, maybe not. But I'm excited for him to come back, and I hope that it's not like a revenge game where he gets to come in and just beat us in our own home, because it's not only is it Mike McCarthy's return, he's returning with the Cowboys, who are our biggest out of division rival. And it's going to be a good game, and it's going to be really different seeing him there. I mean, it feels like forever. Yeah. Like the fact that we haven't played him yet, or he hasn't returned here yet, just kind of seems like it's a long time coming. But I mean, maybe it's just going to be one of those kinds of games that, I hope that it's a good quality game, and that's just kind of like what you expect out of Packers Cowboys game. So I'm excited for the return of McCarthy. I hope that they're able to do something special to honor him. I hope that people are nice to him in the stands. Everything that he did for this team, just because, he got fired and the way things ended, it was what it was, but he was still a really good coach for this organization, a good person. And I hope that he gets the warm welcome that he deserves. I just hope that he leaves with an L.
Exactly. Yeah. Let him get a warm welcome, and maybe not the warmest goodbye, but I think number one, like you said, the first thing, if he were to walk out on the field to boos, it would be so so sad. And
I would be pretty disappointed in Packers fans, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't expect. I would be pretty surprised, honestly, but it would be pretty sad. But look, like you said, he deserves to be, greeted nicely and people to be excited and happy that he's returning. At the end of the day, like you said, did it end as great as we wanted? Probably not. But then no relationship, if it ends, is really going to end as great as anyone would hope, because that's just not how it works. But he won a Super Bowl for this team. He made it to the playoffs essentially every year, at least every year that Rodgers was healthy. And he was a big part of Green Bay, big part of the Packers history, and just plain and simple, he deserves the respect and gratitude of Packer fans. So I'm looking forward to seeing that.
I almost say we need like a scale from like normal skin tone to like beet red. Like how red will Mike McCarthy's face get in this game?
Especially once the Packers, are up by 2 or 3 touchdowns in the third quarter. I'm sure he'll get real nervous. It's sad that we used to say that kind of seriously.
And it actually meant something.
And we meant it. And we're like, yeah, whatever, we'll just be winning.
And now it's like, yeah.
If he scored 2 or 3 touchdowns the whole game, it would be quite miraculous. But yeah, I am looking forward to this game. As like you said, Packers-Cowboys, it always somehow seems to end up being a great game. Even when one is way better than the other, or the game, 2019 it was, LaFleur's first year when Jones had 4 touchdowns against them. The Packers were up 28-3. Of course, we still sweated it out at the end because that's just what happens. So it should be a good game. And having it in Lambeau, obviously more exciting than if it was in Dallas. But right now, I mean, I can't even sit around talking about wins or losses. It's more just show us something. Show us that you're there, that you're alive, that you care, that you're doing something.
Show us that there is still passion, and love and fire, and
at least that you're not giving up. Maybe a lot of people have given up on you, but show all of us that you have not given up yet, and just put out a good performance. And if somehow we come out with a W, great.
Yeah.
What happened last week?
1 week at a time. One week at a time.
Exactly. As Jamie says here, just make it fun. Don't. What happened last week on Sunday, just from top to bottom, was so not okay. So many levels, from their play, from the attitude, from the energy. So I just want to see that change. I'm not even going to ask for any kind of score prediction, because I just feel like, Jen, maybe we just have to stop predicting the games. It might just be better.
If I say that I think they'll lose, will they win?
Should we say they're going to lose? But I don't really want to say that.
But then I don't want to be right about that.
I know, right? Then it's going to be like, oh, you asshole.
What if they're like, oh, you spoke it into existence and then it happened?
There's no way they were going to lose until we said it. Classic.
No, I am nauseatingly optimistic. Even when I was younger and I would watch games, my sister, she was like, I'm the realist, and she would understand this game is over. And I am literally I have to see the players walking off the field in the tunnel until I believe
will never give up. All zeros, and people are pissed off walking off the field. I'm like, wait, but something could happen. There could be a penalty, and they'll challenge it.
Are they going to call it back and put 2 seconds?
Yeah,
it's disgusting how optimistic. But I would rather be overly optimistic than pessimist and hate everything. It's just, I couldn't function like that. I need to go into every week with hope.
Exactly.
And otherwise, I don't know, what's the point if you're don't believe that,
every week you're just going in.
At some point the losing streak has to stop, right? It has to, right? Somebody tell me that I'm right.
Jen, this time you're right, hopefully, maybe. But yeah, I agree. I mean, just going into the game with just, you don't have to have expectations of anything, but to go in just being oh, it's over before the kickoff, it's just, like you said, whether it's true or not, it just doesn't it's just not fun. It's not.
Which honestly, use Mason Crosby more than you did against the Lions, because there were definitely situations where you should probably bring out your franchise leading scorer instead of going for it on 4th downs.
Yeah, that is a fair statement, especially
instead of throwing passes 5 yards short to offensive linemen who didn't even play the full game.
I can't.
Mason Crosby on the field. I'm literally just please get points at this point. I don't care if it's Mason Crosby. You have to do something. And at this point, I can't even guarantee that he's not going to get blocked or something. But I don't know. It just felt like a situation where you could bring in Mason Crosby, get a 3-0 lead, build off of it,
Yeah,
But
do something.
that's just me. I'm not a head coach for
No, of course,
many reasons, but
any amount of points you see go up on the board early, it gives you momentum, it gives you confidence, even if it's not a touchdown. And look, for the most part, like there are situations where I do think on 4th and goal from the 1 or 2, it's like okay to kick a field goal because I do think there is something to just putting up points. But I will say that for the most part, I mean, most situations I probably would say try it. I mean, go for it. But I agree when you're playing the Lions and you're expecting maybe I will say it's a bit different though, because most years versus the Lions, you could kind of expect a low-scoring game. But the Lions haven't been putting up 35 points a game in Detroit this year, so maybe they were a bit nervous about that. But but especially the second drive, or like they had multiple chances in the red zone, and it just turned into nothing. And obviously, as we know, but it's
we all know what happened.
Yeah, and then as Chris says, I mean, obviously we talk about it every week. Just give Aaron Jones the ball. I mean, for me,
we saw what happened when he had 20 touches against Buffalo, and then
nothing.
I
usually,
Detroit.
Like I've tried my best to not get on like the upset, like I'm upset, but super upset train of Matt LaFleur. But this is the first week of the whole year that like I really kind of lost my cool. I was just like, I can't possibly understand why Aaron Jones is not on the field. And now talking about it, I'm immediately 1 to 100. I'm pissed.
And then the football gods we're like, fine, if you're not going to use Aaron Jones, we're going to take him from you.
And then it's
I,
mind-boggling. It is the most asinine thing. It is, to me, it is less understandable than kicking the field goal versus the Bucs or whatever happened in the playoffs versus the Niners or versus the. It's just, what are you doing? What are you doing? What does Aaron Jones need to do?
It's like Aaron Rodgers not having his best year, injured thumb, frustrated, just not hitting his targets. This offense should be based around the run game that we have an amazing run game.
Adams got traded.
Everything should run around Aaron Jones. Like, obviously, things just aren't going well enough in the passing game. Take some of that pressure off of Aaron Rodgers and the receivers and let Aaron Jones flourish, because when he has the ball, good things happen. And luckily, it sounds like everything with the injury is nothing to be concerned about. So, I mean, let him do his thing against Dallas. Let him go in front of the Lambeau crowd, run in the end zone, leap into the crowd, get people going. I mean, it's who he is. It's what he does. And for the first time in a long time, we don't need Aaron Rodgers to be Aaron Rodgers if you utilize Aaron Jones, because Aaron Jones is a phenomenal offensive player, and you can rely on him to run your offense, and you should be. Like, he hasn't given us any reason to think that we should not be putting the ball in his hands.
That's the craziest part, is like, it's from day one, from the first time we ever saw him, which was versus Dallas, actually, funny enough, back in 2017, I believe. From day one, it was like, who is this guy? He is clearly something. And we all know the story. Jones' first snap of his career, first time in the huddle, Aaron Rodgers turns to him and says, I'm one of your biggest fans in the organization. That means like Rodgers saw it from the beginning and Jones showed it from the beginning. And McCarthy, one of the biggest criticisms of him before he got fired was obviously not using Aaron Jones. It made no sense. And then LaFleur comes in. His first year, Aaron Jones scores, I believe it was 19 touchdowns. It was league lead, and so many of them came inside the 5-yard line. And now it's just like, no, we're not going to do it. We're not going to give him the ball inside the 5. Like, it makes no sense.
I get you gave it to AJ Dillon, so it's like you still attempted to get the run game in there, but when the thing is that they're two different types of runners, and AJ Dillon was just getting stood up, where Aaron Jones, he's a little bit more shifty, and when the offensive line isn't making big enough blocks for guys like Dillon and he can't push through them, Jones can he's a little bit more shifty, or he can back out of that and try and reroute himself. So you should have probably tried to play around with that a little bit more.
Yeah, probably try to play around with your best player a little more. Just a suggestion.
I don't know. It's kind of going crazy.
Don't get nuts. Don't use him. He's too good. You don't want the other team to feel bad. But
I see the chat kind of mentioned this name a couple of times. It was really nice. While we're on the topic of running backs, it was super nice to see Kylan Hill back in the game, even if it was very minimalistic reps. It was still really nice, obviously, after the ACL injury, to just see him back on the field, because it shows promise that he's good enough to be out there and he can, who knows what he's gonna be able to do with special teams, if he's gonna take some of those reps, what he's gonna do. But it's just nice when you see a guy who's been hurt make that like first step into his comeback into the season.
Yeah, just seeing him return, it was nice. And he was a 7th-round pick, but I just remember, I'll be honest, like I didn't know much about. I heard his name before the draft, but once I watched this film, and I wasn't the only one who thought this, most draft people said the same. It made no sense to me that he was a 7th-round pick. He's someone that is exciting to me, and again, I don't want to speculate about this because hopefully it won't be the case. But with Aaron Jones, I believe having like a $20 million cap hit next year, it's at least in the realm of possibility he may not be back. And I do think Kylan Hill could factor into the future of the backfield over there. But yeah, just real quick, Jen, just before we close out, what would you say? Again, I don't want to do game predictions, but if you were to just say, what would you hope? Like, what do you think the Packers need to do unequivocally? They must do this if they want to even have a chance of winning this game.
Score more points.
Yeah.
Score more points than the Cowboys. No, I think just, Cowboys, they have a pretty good offense. So being able to shut down, whether it's Zeke or Pollard or Dak or whoever, they have really good key components to their game that we've just been struggling to shut down. And, the last few weeks, it was kind of, if you like pressure Goff and make him play quarterback, but Dak Prescott is better than Jared Goff is, and he will be better at making those plays. So I still want to see more pressure on him, but you can also assume that they're going to utilize the run game a lot, and they're a little bit more veteran offense and team as a whole. What?
Oh my!
Oh,
It's going to give me a heart attack. Oh my God!
Is that your doorbell?
Yeah, it's so aggressive. I never literally this never goes off, and now it's like 2 straight weeks that it's happened.
Oh my gosh! Well, it's like my blinds last week where they blew into my room and scared me.
I was thinking the same thing. I just jumped a minute ago, and it was very embarrassing. So I definitely thought.
But no, I mean, at this point, I don't even know what the Packers need to do to win. They just need to not do what they've been doing, because what they're doing is making lose. And
it seems like right now they're playing to lose. Like, don't shoot yourself in the foot. Don't do the dumb penalties, turnovers. Like that
they
for
need
me.
to be more disciplined for sure.
Yeah,
be more disciplined with the ball, with the penalties. Just I think that it was really, really nice to see Rodgers connecting with his younger receivers like Toure and Dobbs and Amari during that Bills game, and then it just kind of felt like that all got taken away in that Lions game, and that was frustrating. And I don't know, obviously you need Aaron Rodgers to play better, and hopefully against a team like the Cowboys, against his former coach, he's got something lit in his stomach. But like, he needs to play better. They need to trust the run game. The offensive line needs to play consistently, open up the blocks, create protection, because even if Rodgers isn't making accurate throws, we still need him to have time, because those younger receivers kind of aren't, you don't have a Devontae where it's like he's open off the line. Like it takes a couple seconds sometimes to let a play develop, and you need to make sure that he's not scrambling, because then if guys are open, he can't see it, whatever. Just kind of I feel like they're like always really amped up, and they just need to kind of play calm and collected, and they know what they're doing. Play simple football. Just
calm it down.
Don't overthink everything. Don't overthink.
I feel like versus Buffalo, like you said, versus Buffalo, they were doing that. They were running the ball. They were just being calm. They were measured, and that's what they need to do. I mean, we don't have to go over it again and again, but Aaron Jones, just give him the ball in any way, running. If you have to pass him the ball, pass him the ball. But I would say also just in general, it's stop making the mistakes, stop turning the ball over, stop doing not just penalties, but moronic, idiotic penalties after the play. It's just that's activities you see from 3 and 13 teams, or whatever, 3 and 14 teams now, like teams that just are not even in the same conversation of the Packers year in, year out, that are making these dumb penalties. And we're seeing it not once, not twice, not even 3, like week after week after week. And it matters. Like, so starting all the way back versus the Giants, the first game of the losing streak, not to single out whatever, but Rasul Douglas happened to have done 2 really dumb, bad penalties in that game. And both of them were in the second half. Both of them led to scoring drives. and it mattered. And that's just one example, but we all know it's happened weeks in a row now. It's just,
like Stokes has done it,
yeah,
Jair
Stokes
has done
Jair's
it.
done
It's
it.
like,
Obviously, Quay Walker did it and got ejected. I mean, it's just guys need to stop doing these ridiculous penalties. Stop turning the ball over. And real quick, I do have to address this because Aaron Rodgers was caught twerking at 3 a.m. before the game, and that's honestly what happened. Yeah, John, you didn't hear? He was caught
I guess
twerking.
this is what happens when I don't go on Twitter.
Yeah,
I miss,
that's what happens.
all the Aaron Rodgers caught twerking news, which I'm sure came from a very, authentic, verified account.
Someone, I don't even know what it was. Number one, it was Zach, so it was very verified.
Oh, wait, did Zach actually?
Yeah. No, because someone commented, it was a screenshot of Rodgers' post-game press conference, and someone commented like 3 times.
Oh, okay. Sorry, that was like super loud, but it clicked. I did remember seeing that.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, I remember now, and I think where it's I know.
So,
I see.
I would
It
love to, I
takes
wish
a
that were
second
true.
sometimes, but
Sam, if you have a video of Rodgers twerking at 3 a.m., send it to this guy. But yeah, everyone, we will see. We will see what happens this Sunday versus Dallas. It should be a fun game. But before we head out, Jen, I want to turn it over to you to tell everyone where they can find you and all of your work. And yeah, there you go.
Yeah, obviously here, 8 p.m. Central Time every Wednesday, live with Eli and usually Zach. And we're down actually Zach and Andrew this week. So thankfully I survived another week with Eli. Bless up, And then Saturday mornings are, again, with Eli and also Matt over on Pack-A-Day. Our injury report episode comes out. I do some work for Packer Report as well. And then, obviously Twitter, even though I'm not as active right now, you can find me over there at BigMac_4. And I also do want to give a little shout out to our football team who is playing in their first state game tomorrow. Super exciting. I'm excited to cheer them on and wish them all the best because at least one team in my life has been, succeeding and winning. And I hope that those boys are able to put on a show and make their way to US Bank for semifinals.
Absolutely. We
So
love
roll
a good roll Cougs moment. Absolutely. But yeah, obviously, like Jen said, make sure to check out her work, check her out on Twitter. As you see at the bottom of the screen, before I forget, make sure to follow Game On Wisconsin on Twitter at Game On WI. Subscribe on YouTube at Game On Wisconsin. You can find Zach and his big fat blue check mark at Zachary J. Find all the great verifiable work. And you can find my less impressive verified work at Book of Eli _NFL. Everyone, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week. I'm not even going to say at what record. I'm just going to say we'll see you next week. Hopefully, who knows? I'm not even going to get ahead of myself. We'll see you when we see you. Good luck, everybody.
What you think, Fred? All right.
Fred.
Like, dude, you're an idiot.
I'm doing very well, Jen. Is it just going to be me and you, or Eli and Zach going to pop in?
Yeah, they'll talk every once in a while.
Every now and then we'll kind of
He was already right away.
It's kind of we're used to you attacking us, so.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Look at.
Let's just put it this way. Who do you